Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, everybody, to Morris Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka, LB, and this evening, our special guest will be Dr. Walter Williams, and the subject that we will be attending to tonight is, who is that man called God? Who is this man called God? Who is that? What is that? All right. Nevertheless, we're going to deal with that tonight, okay? And before we get started, as usual, I'm going to run these commercials, and when we come back, I need to give you my personal opinion on this thing. So y'all hold on a minute. Hold tight, and we'll be right back.
You don't have to lose your home due to foreclosure. You don't have to worry about child support. You don't have to be in credit card debt. Have no fear. Tarhaka Armana El Bay is here at newdebtelimination.com. Got student loans, child support, mortgages? Contact someone who's got the experience and the knowledge to get you back under God's law. That's Tarhaka Armana El Bay. He's been there, he's done that, and he can prove it. Just give him a call at 904-303-9061. That number again is 904-303-9061. And log on to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com and get yourself free.
Hi, everybody, I'm Tarhaka. Student loans, child support, credit cards, foreclosure debt, and much, much more are some of the problems facing my people. There's a right way and a wrong way to deal with these problems. Proper status in commerce does play a big role. However, we want to get rid of the so-called debt. Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Let's get off the plantation. Let's not bog down in it. Let's get rid of it by getting rid of these debts. You got to get rid of the debt. If you're going to have a clean start, that's where to start. If you're opening a business, the first thing you want to do is get out of debt first. Once you get out of debt, now you can think about going forward and doing something different. www.newdebtelimination.com.
P.O. boxes are outdated and digital mailboxes are in. Worry about missed or theft of mail or packages when you're not home? Want to know what's in your mailbox without having to get in your car and catch a ride to the post office? Do you have a need for an alternative address or phone number to use instead of your home address and personal phone number? What if you could get rid of the paper clutter by scanning and storing documents all in one place? Your mailbox address works like any street address. We take a picture of the mail and upload it to your account and notify you. You log in from any device and with one click tell us what you want us to do with each one. You'll love your digital mailbox at www.businessfront.space. You'll love your new digital mailbox at www.businessfront.space.
Okay, everybody. Before we get started, it appears that my guest is in the queue. But before we get started, let me give you what my position is on this thing about this man called God. Who is this man called God? So that's tonight. That'll be the topic of conversation. This is the way I see it. When I hear someone say God, Jesus, Allah, or any of it, Krishna, it doesn't really matter. They're always talking to me from a position of what they believe in. And in my opinion, my personal opinion, there's a difference between what a man or woman believes and what they know for a fact. I'm only interested in the facts. That's what I deal with. I deal with facts all day long. Because if you got the facts, then you simply put the facts on the table and you walk away. There's no need to be for there to be an argument or a debate. You don't debate the facts. If it can be measured, there's no argument. So if you, for instance, if you tell me you believe in Jesus, or you believe in Jacob and Isaac and Esau, well, there's scientific facts that there are dinosaur bones all over the earth. Been died, 50 million years ago, 100 million years ago. But we haven't found none of these folks' bones nowhere. You catch my point? I tell you that a circle represents 360 degrees. All we got to do is do the math. 3 plus 6 plus 0 is what? That's 9. If I cut that circle half in two, both of those halves will represent 180 degrees. But if you add the 180 degrees together, you get what? 360. We just found out that was 9, and that's a fact. But even if we say, well, we only want one half, well, 1 plus 8 plus 0 is what? 9. If we divide it up into 4 parts, 4 times 9 is what? We'll end up with 9. Let's say we take a triangle. Triangle got 3 points, 3 corners, 60-degree angle. 3 times 6 is 180. 1 plus 8 plus 0 is 9. Once again, now here's a fact. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 0 is 9. There are 86,400 seconds in a day. 8 plus 6 plus 4 is what? That's 18. 1 plus 8 is what? 9. 10,080 minutes in a week. 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 plus 0 is what? 9. 525,600 minutes in a year. 5 plus 2 plus 5 is what? That's 12. If you add 6, what you got? You got 18 again. And we know that 1 plus 8 is 9. And now, the only point I'm making here is if we deal with the facts, I'm not talking about how you feel, how emotional you want to get, but if you're talking to me about the facts, then I'm more than happy to listen to you. I don't want you to tell me nothing about what you believe that you can't prove. If you say, well, Jesus is real. Well, how do you know? Well, the Bible says, who wrote it? Who? If we add up all numbers from 0 to 8, we get the number 36. But 6 plus 3 is what? 9. If we add up all the numbers from 0 to 9, then what do we get? We get 45. 5 plus. We can measure all this right here. There's nothing that we got to believe in other than the facts. Anyway, that is my position. I only deal with the facts. I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone. I'm just explaining to you what my position is. And my position is I deal with the facts. If a woman is healthy enough to carry a baby for 9 months, there's that 9 again. The main planets up in our solar system, how many of them is there? There's 9 of them. Just facts. But anyway, my phone line, area code 773. Dr. Williams, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, okay. Dr. Williams, before we get started, we got quite a few new people on the switchboard here with us this evening. So could you briefly, once again, just give us a little background information, tell us about your books and where you can get them from, and then we can go down into the topic for tonight, which is who is this man called God?
Okay, who's the guest we have tonight, you say?
I think we got quite a few new guests. That's
okay.
on the they're on the switchboard. I don't know who everybody is. I don't have any name.
Okay.
But I see a lot of new numbers.
Okay. All right. Great. My books, The Historical Origin of Christianity. That book has been out for 25 years, selling all over America, throughout the Caribbean, the UK, Australia, all of your English-speaking countries. And the thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of a Jesus Christ never existed. My second book has been out for 15 years, and that's called The Historical Origin of Islam. I'm saying the same thing in the thesis about the Prophet Muhammad. Never been a Prophet Muhammad walking this earth in human form of Islamic tradition. Never existed. Now, I have a $5,000 award to give to anybody of any race, creed, or color, including the Pope, that can use the discipline of history, because you cannot use what you believe and what you think and try to make your emotions make what you believe and what you think right. You have to do and use the discipline of history to do that. And you have to write up why, how, when, where a Jesus the Christ walked this earth in human form. Same thing with Islam. The same thing with every biblical character that's listed in the Bible. 99 and 9/10 of every biblical character listed in the Bible never walked the earth as human being. So that's my challenge to the whole entire world, including the Pope. In fact, the Roman Catholic Church know that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. They know that historically. So those are my 2 books that's out here. And I've been out here for 43 years, going into 44 years out here on the circuit, bringing this information to my African people in the African community. So that is some of the background that I have created in my lifetime, and along with the Ancient Egyptian Museum that I created in Chicago in March 11, 1990, when I opened the doors of that museum at 3849 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago. That museum was up and running for 11 years until it was closed in 2001. So, and then I've taught in the college system in Chicago and the elementary school system in Chicago. So that is some of my background. That is some of the books that I've written. And my wife and I, we are working on finishing up our third book that should be out very, very shortly. I don't want to give a specific date on it because I've given those dates and the dates have come and the book is still not out. But anyway, it's forthcoming. Dispelling Myths of Ancient Egypt, Exposing Western Academia. So that book is very, very important because it's pregnant with lots of information that should be in our African community, in the minds of our African people, so they can evolve. We have to evolve as a people. We cannot continue to revolve because we're not going anywhere. So I hear echo, but anyway, and we need to start evolving, and that's what this program that you, Brother Tarhaka, have provided us to do, just that, to evolve. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, Dr. Williams. Said a mouthful there. Now, like I had said earlier, I just try to specialize in facts, and I have watched people. I've watched them over and over and over and over talk to large groups of people about what they believe. You can hear them all the way down the street. They're emotional, they shout at the top of the voice about somebody that they've never met and somebody they never seen. Now, I can have a man down on the corner from my house. I can ask him, well, what is it you believe in? Who do you believe in? He said, well, I believe in Jesus Christ. Okay. Other side of the corner, on a whole another corner, ask him what he believes in. He said, well, I believe in Allah. I said, well, I could go up across Main Street to the Indian restaurant that's there and go in there and ask them who they believe in. Well, we believe that the cow is sacred. Then I can go over to the Asian restaurant and they can tell us about the Asian God. Now, these are all things that people believe in. And we got all these different beliefs, but what I'm concerned about is for my people to start give me the facts. That's all I want. I don't want to know nothing about what you believe. Give me the facts. Give me something that I can measure. Give me something that I can verify, put on the table, turn around, and walk away without debate, without argument, without fussing or fight, or without even raising my voice. Because I've put facts in people's hands, and they looked at the fact there can't be no debate. All the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. There's no room for argument, and it all can be measured. And I just ran off a page full of facts. But it goes deeper than that, but I'm not going to go into all of that this evening. But I look at it that way because it is amazing to me. It is actually astonishing to me how a whole species of people could hold on to a religion that was given to them by somebody else, God and all, that looked like somebody else. And a book they don't know nothing about, they don't know nothing about who wrote it or none of that, argue with you. And then turn around and if you don't agree with how they feel about what they believe, then they want to pronounce that you go to hell. So I asked, well, okay, that's cool, but could you please tell me what side of town is it located on so I can go over there and verify the fact that is there. They don't walk away around, you know what I'm talking about. You just keep on. Just keep on. Thing, but asking for the facts. But that is my position once again. Dr. Williams, could you please tell us who is this man called God?
Okay, Brother Tarhaka, I'm going to start off with continuing what you have just stated about facts. In my books, Historical Origin of Christianity and Historical Origin of Islam, when I end my writings in both books, I end with this. Facts are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions. Silences dispute, supersedes predictions, and facts always end the argument, like you said. So that's how I have written up in both books about facts. Now, one has to remember this. No human on earth was born with a religion. Now, where this confusion is coming from is man-made religions. No human was born with a religion, none whatsoever. So if you can really understand that you, the human being, was not born with a religion, that your parents passed this disease and virus on to you in your child early, innocent, developing age. And you were not in a position to say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a Christian. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a Muslim. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a black Hebrew Israelite. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a black Jew. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a Buddhist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you were unable to tell your parents that. But they passed this disease down to you at your early child, innocent, developing age, and you grew up with that. Why? Because your grandparents passed that disease down to your parents. And your great-grandparents passed that disease on down to your grandparents. And it goes back. So today, as me and Brother Tarhaka talk about these various religions and about God, it is time for us to come to the knowledge of understanding about what has happened to us as a people and what is still happening to us as a people and what is happening to the whole entire world with these man-made religions. See? So remember, no human on earth was born with a religion. Go to the mirror, look in the mirror, and call your name. I, Sarah Johnson, I, Henry Jones, or whatever your name may be, was not born with a religion. I was born with an indwelling divine spiritual birthright. Now, how did you get this humanity and birthright that you have at this very moment that I'm talking to you? It came about by your mother and father having a sexual intercourse. And your father, during that intercourse, released his sperm that landed on your mother's egg. And that sperm caused the 9 months of incubated development for you, the human being, individually. You got over 7 billion, close to 8 billion humans walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color. And every human on this earth came to be a human being by that process. So that is one of the first things you need to know. I was not born with a religion, okay? I was born with the indwelling divine spiritual birthright. As I came out of my mother's womb, after 9 months of incubated progression, attached to her umbilical cord. That umbilical cord was cut by the doctor to separate you from your mother. When that happened, life was still continuing on in your being, your human being. Now, the umbilical cord that was attached to you from your mother for the 9 months of your incubation of development to come into this world as a human being, that umbilical cord served three things. It provided you with food, air, and water. Now, once you came into this world as a human being, you had complete humanity and life soaring through your body. Life. The life that was given to you by your mother and your father. That is called your indwelling, divine, spiritual birthright. Has nothing to do with any imaginary, invisible God that's swirling around and people and the populace of the world today. The people of the world of today are walking around with invisible thoughts about a God that they have never seen. Okay? So that has nothing to do with that. You have to know who you are as a human being, what was given to you at the time of your birth. You got to know something about your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is a sensory organ that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves as a receiver and a sender between you and your personal universe. The bottom of your pineal gland are your nostrils. What you do with your nostrils, you intake air to keep that indwelling spirit that was given to you by your mother and father to make you part of humanity. That indwelling spirit is still alive inside of you by way of your pineal gland. The bottom of your pineal gland is your nostrils. What do you do with your nostrils? You intake air to keep that indwelling spirit alive inside of you. Now, your pineal gland also serves as a conduit between you, the human being, and your own personal universe. Like I mentioned, you got over 7 billion humans, close to 8 billion humans walking this earth in human form. Every human walking this earth lives in their own personal universe. Okay? Your personal universe that you live in is connected with a bigger, larger, omnipotent universe that has no beginning and no ending. You see? So now, here you are inside of your universe. Everything that you want to do and your thinking is done inside of your personal universe. If I cut your head open, I can see your brains, but I cannot see your mind. Your mind is invisible spirit. That goes for every human, no matter what race, creed, or color that they belong to. It's all the same, okay? So therefore, inside of your universe, you can create things, okay? You take in things, and you keep things that you have taken in, and you keep them in your subconscious mind. Now, where is your subconscious mind? Your subconscious mind is in the area where your mother carried you for the 9 months of your incubation. So, in order for you to come into this world as a human being. So, that part of your body is your abdomen. That's where your subconscious mind is. That's where you have a gut feeling, you have intuition, and you have hunches and ideas and so forth and so on. So therefore, you have to know this, that your conscious mind and your subconscious mind interacts with each other. But your subconscious mind is where you store things to keep. So when the time comes that you need these things that you have stored, you can go right to it because it's right there inside of you, just like a computer. Computer, you type in things on a computer, and the things that you want to keep, you hit a button to keep. That goes down in the keep section. So when you want to revive that, you hit that same button, and it pops up, and you can revive what you want to keep. So the human being is on the same order as a computer. In fact, the computer was designed after the human anatomy and the human being, you see. So you have to know that everything that you see around you, was once invisible, including you and I as human beings. So if you are 50 years old, let's say 2 years before you were conceived by your mother and father, you were invisible. You were unknown. You wasn't there. But 2 years later, here you come into this world as a human being. So that you have to understand. Second thing you have to really understand is that from your invisible mind, if I cut your head open, I can see your brains, but I cannot see your mind. Your mind is air, invisible. That makes it invisible. That makes it spiritual. See? So therefore, from your spiritual mind comes everything that you see that's around you that has been created by a human being, whether it's a female or a male. So, for instance, I'm in my library now. I see rugs on the floor, couch. I see my desk and paintings on the wall, lamps and bookcases and with books and so forth and so on. But everything in here except for me, is dead. There's no life in it because it was created by man. A man singularly cannot create anything with life in it, nothing. Singularly. A female singularly cannot create anything with life in it, nothing. They can't do that. But if they are mated together sexually, then that's where procreation comes forth. And that's where you and I, as human beings, got developed as human beings from that intercourse to bring forth us into being part of procreation. You see? So these are some of the things that you have to understand. Now, getting back to religion. Religion is where you find the creation of God. Okay? So, but when you go a little deeper in the study of God, you go to the dictionary and you look up God, G-O-D. And in the dictionary it says a male deity. So God is a man. My wife, came to me one day and says, Walter, I want to tell you something about God. I said, okay. She says, God is an abstract idea that needs human spirituality to give it life. And she was right. God, in Webster's dictionary and in any dictionary, the definition of God is a male deity. Human beings, as they talk about God and call the name of God, they say he, his, or him. That means that God is a man. Okay? Then you go a little further and you understand about the supreme being. They say an object, an idea, or a symbol that is thought. That's the idea that is thought to be the supreme being and God by way of teaching humanity to think that. You see, and these religions will make you think as a human being that God has some substance to God, okay? God, coming from the preacher's mouth, coming from the Bible, the preacher says that God created the heavens and the earth. That's not true. That's not true. Because God is a man. A man can't do that. Now, let's go back to what this preacher said. God created the heavens and the earth. Now, of the heavens, we're talking about the sky. We're talking about planets, stars, the moon, sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, animals, and humanity. Now, what created that? I'm going to tell you. I'll give you the answer. Very simple, without you even racking your brain. It's called the mystery of life. The answer is no human on earth can give you that answer. They don't know. And I'm going to tell you why humans don't know that answer. They will never know that answer. It's not meant for humans to know that answer. Okay? The next question is this. What, when, and where, what created the first humans on earth? First man and the first woman? No one can answer that. The answer is don't know. That's the answer. No matter how much education you have, how much money you have in the bank, or what position you hold in life, you will never, ever know those two questions. Third question. When a person is deceased and you go to their funeral and you wonder in your mind, now where did his spirit go after he was deceased, after he died? The answer to that question is called the mystery of life. No human can tell you or give you that answer. Can't tell you that because no human has ever met a deceased person 30 days after they was deceased, or I can say 30 years after they was deceased. So 50, any number that you want to throw out there. No human has ever seen a deceased person come back and talk to them about where they went after they died. Can't tell you that. Now, the reason why no humans can give you the answer to what created the first man and the first woman on Earth, or either what created the sky, the planets, the stars, the moon, sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, and animals, and humanity, and where did the spirit of the deceased go after death. You know why they can't tell you that? Because no human on earth, I don't care who you are, how much education you have, how much money you have in the bank, what position in life that you hold, no human on this planet can tell you. That includes Walter Williams, that includes Tarhaka, Pineal Bay, and every listener out here, and every human walking this earth. I told you there are almost 8 billion humans walking this earth. They can't tell you how they got here on earth as a human being. See? I can't tell you how I got here. Tarhaka can't tell you how he got here, and no human on this earth of all races, creeds, cannot tell you how they got here. You see? Because we all came, supposedly, through the process of a sexual intercourse between our mother and father. And during that 9 months of incubation, no human can tell you when their eyeballs came into being, when their toes or feet came into being, when their fingers or hands and arms came into being. They can't tell you that. So here they come after 9 months of incubation, a full grown, developed human being, okay? Developed, when I say grown human being, that means that you were a baby. And you're still a developed, grown human being. So therefore, I ask people today, as I go through life, as I lecture around the country, as I do talk radio shows, etc., I ask them this. In what conscious memory in your mind that you can think that you found yourself here on earth as a human being? At what conscious age can you think of that you can go back to and say, I know I was here, I found myself here at 3 years old or 4 or 5 or whatever the case might be. Okay? Whatever age you want to give is fine, no problem. I want to know at what conscious memory in your mind that you found yourself here on earth as a human being. That's the key. You see? So therefore, some people say, well, okay, I found myself at 3 years old. Me, Walter Williams, I found myself at 4. I remember at 4 years old, my grandfather making me a tool chest as a boy. And he bought little tools for me to carry around in my tool chest. So I remember that. So whatever age you give is 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or whatever the case might be. So you said from 0, in my case, so from 0 to 4, I have no conscious memory of Walter Williams. Now, I found myself at 4 years old living in a certain geographical land area on earth, and that was Chicago, Illinois. That's where I was born. And I found myself at 4 years old belonging to a certain race of people. They were called Negroes at the time. Now, you multiply my experience with every human on earth of all races, creeds, and colors, those over 7 going on 8 billion humans on earth. You ask them the question, the same question, and you when you find out the answer is that the Europeans cannot tell you how he got into Europe as a European. He found himself in Europe as a European. The Chinese cannot tell you how he got into China as a Chinese. He found himself in China as a Chinese. The African cannot tell you how he got into Africa as an African. He found himself there in Africa as an African. Same thing with people of the Philippines. Same thing with people of Mexico. Same thing with people that live on Guam and so forth and so on. So they can't tell you how they got there. They found themselves there. So that is called the mystery of life. No human can tell you about creation. See? So that is one of the first things that you need to know. And stop allowing these ministers tell you females in the church that you, the female, was born and created through the rib of a man. That's not true. That's a damn lie. Okay? And you should call them out on that. See, it was your mother and father, all that strenuous work that they did to get you here, and you're going to let a preacher tell you about you, the female, was born from the rib of a man? No, don't let nobody tell you that. And then you also call old Reverend Chicken Wing out in the church about Adam and Eve, two humans dropping from the air, the male and the female, dropped out of the sky onto earth. Okay? You tell them that's another damn lie. Stop telling that. Because if you don't believe what I'm saying, then you take an airplane ride, go up 33,000 feet in the air and jump out. Okay? And you're headed for the earth and see what happened to you. So don't let nobody tell you these lies and continue to tell you these lies, and you sit up there like a dumb dodo and don't say nothing. No, don't do that. So God is a man. That's all God is. God has no power. Okay? God cannot create anything with life in it unless he's made it with a female. That's very, very, very important. So now we're going to have to take back our minds. That's the general idea of this program, to take back your mind. Take back your mind where you can do your own thinking. We have to do our own thinking. Okay? The program that the Tarhaka Bay produces along with me as his invited guest on the last Sunday of every month is to provoke thought. The subjects that we bring up is to provoke thought in your thinking. We want you to begin to evolve and stop revolving, because we're not going anywhere with these type of religions. You see? Now, if you notice about these religions, none of these religions, these man-made religions, has a female deity as the main object of that religion. In other words, like God. See, God is a male, but they don't have a male or female as the lead object of that particular religion. You see? Now, every religion out here has a God. Christianity has this dead white man on the cross they call Jesus Christ as their God. And then this dead white man on the cross that they call Jesus Christ has a father. Now, this father, who's supposed to be the father of Jesus, and Jesus is supposed to be his son, is invisible. I asked a young lady about a month ago. I said, she was talking about God. Oh, this about God and that about God. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. I said, have you ever seen God? And that startled her. She looked at me and was surprised. And she says, no, I have never seen God. I said, well, then you don't know nothing about God. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay? So, God is as a male in all man-made religions. Religions are created to control the thinking and the actions of man. Carter G. Woodson said it best in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. If he's been trained to go to the back of a building, a house, to find a back door to enter, upon arriving at the back door of a building, a house, and he don't find a back door, he'll make one. That's how these religions have controlled your thinking. Christians, when you go into a church, as I speak, you do not have to think. Okay? You don't have to think, because you believe everything that comes out of the preacher's mouth. You believe everything that comes out of the Bible. You believe the stories that's being told to you. You don't even think about it. You believe it. That's the reason why at the end of every church ceremony, you don't ask questions. There's no question and answer session. You just walk out of the church and say, "Oh, Reverend, you had really appreciate your sermon. It was very good," but you never ask him a question. You see? So these are some of the things that you really must know. That you take the religion called Islam. Islam has a God that no one has ever seen, Allah. No one has ever seen Allah. And to go a little further in Islam, none of the Muslims have ever seen the Prophet Muhammad. They don't have no picture of the Prophet Muhammad. They have never seen the Prophet Muhammad. So how in the hell they know it's the Prophet Muhammad? They believe that. That's on belief. You see? Faith. Belief does not give you knowledge. Faith does not give you knowledge because you believe and you have faith. That don't give you any knowledge. You see? Then you go to the next religious belief, Black Hebrew Israelitism. You got these Black Hebrew Israelite people out here say, "Oh, I'm from the blood of Abraham." They have never seen Abraham. They can't tell you where Abraham is buried. Where is Abraham buried? They can't tell you that. I asked one, I was on a talk radio show out of California, Stevie Wonder radio station, KJLH, in Los Angeles. And this brother got on there, he said, "I'm a Black Hebrew Israelite. I'm from the blood of Abraham." I said, "Okay, tell me where Abraham was buried." And it startled him. What do you mean by that? I said, "Well, I said, where is Abraham buried? What does that have to do with anything?" I said, "Because you believe in Abraham. In order for you to be a Black Hebrew Israelite, you said you're from the blood of Abraham. You should be able to tell me where Abraham is buried." He couldn't do it. You see? So that's based off of belief. Then you go into Black Hebrewism. Then you got in the Jewish religion, you got Yahweh and Jehovah. That's invisible. No one has seen Yahweh or Jehovah. You see? None of these deities that's attached to these religions, no one has ever seen. It's invisible. So you're going around in ignorance. And it's time for us as an African people to stop that. We have to stop it in order for us to grow. We will never, ever be free as long as we embrace a religion, any kind of religion. Because every religion has laws, customs, and ceremonies that one has to believe in and practice in order to practice that religion. So therefore, we don't need that because all religion is based off of a lie. And it's time for us to denounce the lie because the lie is not your friend. So we're going to have to begin to really understand what's been put before us, to understand what has happened to us as a African people. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, Dr. Walter Williams, that was well put, and I don't think it could have been explained no better than the way you just laid it out, because all of that makes all the sense in the world to me. And there are quite a few people out there in the United States. My approach to dealing with this situation is to simply get to the bottom of it. If you tell me, well, God created the heavens and the earth, and God did this, and God did that. Well, what I have to do at this point, after hearing that or running into that for any length of time, the first thing that I have to do is get to the bottom of the identity of who and what God is, and I'm going to engage in several things in order to get that done. I'm going to deal with reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I'm also going to be dealing with people, places, times, and events, and literature. These are the tools that I'm going to use to get to the bottom of this thing called God. Now, when it comes to Jesus, I'm going to use the same measurement, the same measuring tool, same approach to get to the bottom of that. If it comes to any religion, any gods that are attached to religions, a documentation that's attached to any religion. There must be an investigation on my part. That's my approach to dealing with anything, because what I'm trying to do is get to the lowest possible denominator, is the bottom line, and down there there should be some facts, and if there are no facts, then the equation is wrong. Now I deal with astronomy, I deal with astrology, I deal with the zodiac, and the books that I have, I use these tools to verify certain information. If it comes to a woman, if it comes to somebody that I'm dealing with in business or whoever, I want to know who you are. If you give me the math, if you was born February the 15th, 1986, okay, let me do the math on them numbers. And I'm gonna take the books and I'm getting there, and I'm gonna engage in reading and investigation. So that's gonna tell me what kind of personality that I'm dealing with, because I found out that the movements of the planets and stuff over our head have a direct bearing on our relationships down here on this planet. And I've been studying it for quite a few years. And the numbers keep coming up right over and over and over. And, of course, we all know that math and numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. You don't get in trouble with numbers until you start saying 10, 11, and 12, and 13. The number 9 is the most powerful number on the planet. In order for you to get something bigger than that, you'll need 2 digits. So to keep from getting in trouble, I just stay within the confines of the equation, you see. So if I was born July the 8th, 1953, and I add those numbers up, I'm going to get 2 digits. But if I add those 2 digits together, I got to get 1. So I'm working a number 6, so I take my calendar and I mark off that 6. Whatever 2 numbers I put together get 6. And I mark those days because those are going to be the best days. Those are the days that I'm going to take the most action. But it all involves getting the facts and dealing with reading, writing, and arithmetic. This is how you gather the facts. We got a place in Egypt called Cairo, Egypt. But we also have a place in Chicago called Cairo. In Illinois, called Cairo. In Illinois. Now, we went to Egypt and North Africa, and we found a place called Cairo. Well, we can gather facts that there's a second place in Illinois called Cairo. If there's a Memphis in Egypt, and then we go to Tennessee, we can find another place called Memphis. And what we got? Now we got some facts. Now we got something we can put on the table. But when you start saying, well, I believe in it, now you get in trouble. you get in trouble about what you believe and what you feel. It's just like you go in a court of law and somebody did something wrong. Well, the judge, he just wants the facts. That's all he wants. He don't want to know nothing about how you feel or what you believe or how you figured or what you thought might have happened. He don't want to hear none of that. He just wants the facts. That's all. Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Now, will you tell us the title of your new book? I know you said it's not ready yet, but what was the title of that again?
It's called Dispelling Myths of Ancient Egypt, Exposing Western Academia. And that book is pregnant with new information that is needed in our African community to dispel a lot of misinformation that has been put out here over the years by Western academia and by even our African scholars. So that is the book that my wife and I we're working on to finish it. And I don't want to give a date as to when it's going to be completed because I may not make that date like I've in the past. I've given out dates, and the dates that I've given out, the new book is not produced yet. So that's the book that I'm working on, that we are working on, my wife and I.
Okay. All right. Now,
well, let me say this, Brother Tarhaka. Since we're on the this who is this man called God thing, I was on talk radio in Washington, D.C., and the host asked me a question. Says, Dr. Williams, do you believe in a higher power? Okay. Well, now, I don't believe in a higher power. I know that there's a higher power. I know that. The reason why I know that is because I can walk in my bathroom and look in my mirror, and an image looks back at me, and that's Walter Williams. Now, I know something higher than me created me, okay? And even though I know that my mother and father was used as human instruments to bring Walter Williams in this world after having a sexual intercourse, I know that. But now the question has to be asked, what created my mother and father? That goes back to that higher power. See? Now, I can't put my hand on it. I can't explain it to you because I don't know anything about it. I know that it's there because every human on this earth is living proof that there is a higher power. So we need to know, clear that up. With the knowledge that's being disseminated on this particular radio show that you and I produce every last Sunday of every month, with your permission, you always invite me on to be a part of that radio show, of this radio show, and I certainly appreciate it. But we need to know that we have the power as an African people in the United States of America, the only Africans in the world today. We have the power to create a new world for all of humanity. But we have to get rid of things. We have to divest ourselves from all religions. We have to find our way back to ancient Egypt. We need to have one national identity. I ask people, Africans in the African community, as I go through life, I ask them to say, now, what is your nationality? And I have never had one to tell me their nationality. They tell me I'm black. Oh, I'm an African American. Well, that's not true. That's not a nationality. Black is a color. African American is a description. Has nothing to do with you, the human being, us, the human being, finding our way back to ancient Egypt, where we can locate on the world map of humanity where our ancestors came from, and that's ancient Egypt. It's on the world map. It's in the continent of Africa. So therefore, we are the only people on earth that has the power to create a new world. Why? Because the world, as I speak today, Brother Tarhaka, is following us. We are leading the world. They're depending on us to guide them, to teach them, to bring new things into this world, create new things. We have done that. We have created jazz, blues, gospel, and all of the dances that are out here today. The music that we create. Our ancestors were the ones that created music by creating the alphabet that made us and them literate. The alphabet was created by our ancestors. They were the only literate people on planet Earth during the time of antiquity. That alphabet is the first thing you learn when you go to school, your ABCs. And with that alphabet, after you learn, you'll be able to read, write, and spell. And getting back to music, the first 7 letters of the alphabet is the first 7 notes of the musical scale. In order to have organized music, there had to be a scale invented. And from the alphabet that our ancestors created, the hieratic demotic alphabet, came forth those letters that are now the first 7 letters that translates into the first 7 notes of a scale. Do, re, mi, so, fa, la, ti, do. That's your first scale. That's an organized scale that all came from your ancestors' alphabet that they created there in Egypt. So we need to know that. So we can create a new world. How we can create a new world? We can first understand what happened to our ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt under Alexander the Greek in 332 BC. So we have to find out what happened to our ancestors. And I'll give lectures on what happened to our African, ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. You need to know that history because what's lacking in our African community today is the knowledge of history that's pertaining to world history that's pertaining to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. And when we went to school, right here in the United States of America, we was taught away from ancient Egypt on purpose because the Europeans that has control of the school system and the curriculum in there, they knew if we ever found out that we were descendants of the ancient Egyptians and claimed that white supremacy would be over with because the icon, the symbol, and the image of white supremacy is institutionalized in every Christian church throughout America and throughout the world. Okay? That dead white man on the cross, they call Jesus Christ, is a symbol of white supremacy. So as long as you go into these churches bowing down to that image, you will never ever be free. And what you're doing when you do that, you are upholding white supremacy against yourself. You see? So that we need to stop. The next thing I ask Christians, do you think that the white race would take their children and their family into a church where a big black African Jesus is hanging on the wall and teach their children and family that this black Jesus is their God and Savior? No, they will not ever do that. So why don't you stop doing it yourself? Third thing, I ask Christians, African Christians, what is the name of your God that looks like you? They can't give me an answer. Okay, fourth thing, I tell Christians, all these things I'm telling the Christians and others is to provoke thought. I want to provoke thought in your mind. Okay? You can say, well, I hear what you say, Walter, but damn what you say. It's okay, no problem. But I still have to tell you this. The fifth thing I ask Christians, and I'm asking everybody, what has God done for the Africans in America and in Africa and throughout the world? What has God done for us as a people? You go into these churches and you pray down and get on your knees and pray down on your knees to this God, this white man, this white image that you call God. And when you get through praying to this God, you come out of the church and this God that you've been praying to allow this white male to put us and our ancestors into slavery. After you get through praying to this white God in these churches, you come out of these churches, the God that you've been praying to, this white God that you've been praying to, allows this white male to lynch us as a people. Between 1880 and 1940, there was over 6,000 lynching in this country of our people. Okay? God allowed this white male to do that. The same God you've been praying to. Wake up, my mighty people. And you go into this church and you pray to this white God, and you come out of the church, and he allowed this white male to initiate Jim Crow laws against us. you go into these churches and you pray to this white God, and you come out of these churches, and this white God that you've been praying to allow this white male to go into Mother Emmanuel's church in South Carolina and murder 9 people there who had been praying to the same white God. But that white God that they had been praying to couldn't keep that dog, that uncivilized savage out of that church without killing. I hear echo. So this is what I'm saying. So the question has to be asked: what has God done for us as a people? So we have the information, because I've been giving this information out on this show, on Tarhaka Mount Bay show. The information that will free us as a people. It's there. You go back on all those tapes. Over the 3 years I've been doing this with Tarhaka, over 3 years, he's been kind enough to ask me to be a guest on his show on the last Sunday of every month. So I'm bringing information. Tarhaka's bringing information to us as an African people to free us. We have the information to free you. All you have to do is want it. Okay? You don't owe us anything. We'll give it to you free. We're giving it to you free. All you got to do is listen, open your mind up, and begin to evolve with the things that we're saying that's coming out of our mouth. You see? So therefore, today, we have the power to make the change that the world needs, that information to complete that change. If it was not for our ancestors, we would not have civilization today. They're the ones that brought civilization to this world of humanity. So we have to get back and claim our greatness, because our greatness is online. It's lying unclaimed in the continent of Africa as I speak, because the descendants of the ancient Egyptians have been taught away from Egypt, been taught away from the ancient Egyptians. So our greatness is lying there, and with that knowledge of what happened to our African, ancient Egyptian, Melkite ancestors after the Greeks came in, that's the information that we need to free us as a people and also free all of humanity. Because I think about 2 shows back, maybe in August, we had a show, talk on your show about how, when, and what created this non-human called Jesus Christ. How, when, and what created this non-human called the Virgin Mary. We had that conversation. So therefore, if anyone is interested in that, go back in the archives of Tarhaka Mount Bay shows. It's out there on YouTube and other places, and you can find and listen to those shows. And the information that Tarhaka and I are imparting to our listening African audience is very, very, very important. So I want you out there in the African community to keep on seeking the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. At this point, before we go any further, I would like to let y'all know that the phone lines are open. The number to dial into the broadcast if you have a question, comment for Dr. Walter Williams, our special guest this evening. The number to dial is 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you have something to say, and I can open up the phone line. We have a little dot on the switchboard that I can see, and we got a caller in here now at area code 540. Open up the phone line. Area code 540. You are on there. Hello. Tell us who you are.
Hello.
From.
Doctor. Hello, Mr. Tarhaka and Dr. Walter Williams.
Hello.
Hello,
there.
This is Tamika, better known as Tracy. I'm calling in. I just want to let you know, Dr. Walter Williams, that, I am rereading The Historical Origin of Christianity. It took some outstanding notes, and I'm telling you, every time I read, I get more information, and it's just amazing. The history, it's just so on point. It flows. It makes sense. You can go online, and you can verify the information that you have put in the book. Today they have it online. Some of it, like you said in the book, is concealed. They cover it up. And so, but it's there, And so, because I was able to go on and look at that Rushalin, and I can't pronounce the P word, peppercorn controversy. I was able to find that, and I was able to look at the printing press and how Johannes first confiscated the printing press because Gutenberg was in debt. That was, online. Everything is there. Even some, like the Nicene Council 1 was online. Some of the other ones, probably more difficult, because they try to cover that information. But the history, like you said, Dr. Williams, you can't go anywhere without knowing your history. You have to have this foundation because Egypt was the center. Egypt was the light to the whole world. And once the European was able to get his foot in Egypt, everything else, all the other nations of colored people were going to eventually fall because Egypt was the controlling centerpiece. So once they did Egypt, they were able to get and advance and get the others. And that was, the psychopathic train of thought that this European continues to follow to this day, And we're people don't realize that we're constantly in warfare. It's constantly on the battlefield with the European, the psychological battlefield. He's constantly, with the television, the images. You see white women, you see black men with white women. That does a lot. That's psychologically damaging to our young African-American girls coming up, and even to our older ones, and to our single parents. And, it's just so much destruction. But when we study the history that you give us, it puts it all in perspective because this is the plan, And when we reach out and we look at other histories, like I looked at the Native American and how they did the boarding schools and how the kids were physically and sexually assaulted, separated from their parents, abused, not able to go home until they reached a certain age, kept them there for years and years, and then how the children who were sexually abused, the Native Americans reported, some of them turned out to be sex predators and preyed on the children. So you saw how the European introduced all these social ills, not only into their culture, but also into all peoples of color's culture. We have all been affected, and now you see how they use the divide and conquer to keep us apart so that the people of colors don't unite to fight up against them. And this Bible, this whole belief system, like you said, is the most damaging thing, to believe in a statue. Ptolemy Soter 1, this is a statue. This is not even a real, these people, this isn't even real. And you praying, you going to church and you praying to a Jesus. This man doesn't even exist. He's not even a real person. This Mary, not even a real person, and the fact that, the Melechite Coptic Egyptians, they wrote the Bible. They wrote it, and they, helped these illiterate Greek people create these gods, for whatever purpose, for their survival purpose, so that they could control us, to manipulate us, and how many years it took. Professor Arnetta was saying, because I was saying to Professor Arnetta, I was looking at how many years the time span between each council, like one was like 102, and she said, that represents just how much resistance the exterior Coptic Egyptians put up against the European. That's the reason why they had a hard time breaking us. It took maybe thousands of years before they actually were able to conquer. But it shows that we were really fighting to maintain, our culture, our identity, our language. The exterior Coptic Egyptians really put up a fight, and they really need to be applauded, for their efforts. And you and your wife need to be applauded for the outstanding work that you guys continue to do, because, this is the book. I mean, everybody needs to read these books. They need to read them in order to understand where they are today and where they come from yesterday.
Thank you, Sister Tamika. That was very, very inspiring and outstanding. And I'm glad that my books and the works that my wife and I has been doing going on 44 years, at least I have been doing this type of work and researching for going on 44 years, has reached people like yourself, that the information that I impart in these two books provoke thought in your thinking, and change your direction of your life. So thank you so much for calling in this evening and giving that testimony. You keep on studying, my dear, and keep on researching so you can continue to evolve. And thank you again, Sister Tamika.
Thank you. Mayat Hotep. Thank you.
Mayat Hotep.
Mayat Hotep, sister. Okay. All right. We're going down to caller with area code 314. Area code 314. You're on the air. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, what's your question or comment for our guest.
Hey, brother Tarhaka, how are you?
Hey, I'm just fine, brother.
All right. This is Brother Jay calling from St. Louis. And
Jay!
How you doing, Professor?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Oh, I'm awesome, man. Listening to you, I'm awesome.
Thank you.
I called in because I have a comment to make for Professor, of course. And Brother Tarhaka, when I'm finished making that comment, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted to tell my story about how I came across Professor Walter Williams, because I've told it to several people, and they respond as if it's amazing. So this really happened to me, Brother Tarhaka. This really happened.
Okay.
I'm an aspiring musician, and I've been chasing my music dream for years. I think I'm almost there. I'm getting there. Put it like that. I'm closer than I've ever been before. But anyway, when we go back maybe about 23 years ago, like I said, I'm from St. Louis, and I was trying to get into the music business by way of traveling to Atlanta, Georgia, because there was a big music scene happening down there. So in chasing my music dream, I was driving up and down the highway from St. Louis to Atlanta, back from Atlanta to St. Louis to Atlanta, back and forth. And I did that over 100 times. That just goes to show you how intense I was in chasing my music dream. So while I was living in Atlanta, I happened to walk into this black bookstore. It was an all-African-American bookstore. And, coming from St. Louis, I had never seen anything like this, ever. I didn't even know there was a such thing as black individuals that were writing their own literature, because, at that time I was going into the bookstores, Barnes and Nobles, and, they might have a little small African-American section, but it was nothing what I saw when I went to Atlanta. So I came across the historical origins of Christianity. So when I looked at that book, it immediately caught my attention because it had the word Christianity in it. And that was the religion that my mother had brought me up in all of my life. So I looked at that and I said, oh, okay, I know what that book is about. That's going to be all about Christianity. But then when I kept looking at it, it said there has never been a man of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ that's ever walked the earth. So I immediately thought to myself, oh, wow, I want to read this. Wow, this is going to be interesting. So I bought the book. Now, this is about 23 years ago. So I left that bookstore, and later on that night, I tried to read the book, but I might have read maybe like 1 or 2 pages, but I immediately knew that I couldn't understand what was being said in this book. So I was like, wow, I don't even understand this. This is something that I've never seen before. So anyway, I drove back home to St. Louis, and I ended up tossing that book in a closet, okay, with a bunch of other books. So for the next 14 years, periodically off and on, I would open up that closet, clean some stuff out, and I'd come across that Christianity book. And it might have been 3 or 4 years later, so I was like, oh, wow, I want to read this. I keep forgetting I need to read this. And the same thing would happen. I would sit down with the book for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, and I couldn't understand it. I just couldn't understand it at all. So I tossed it right back in the closet. Another 2, 3, 4 years would go by, the same thing. Okay, so we get all the way to the year 2010. This was the breakthrough year. I happened to be cleaning out that same closet, and I came across the Christianity book again. I was like, you know what? I got to read this book. I paid my money for this. I want to know what this is about. I spent money on this. So I said, okay, I'm going to make it my priority to sit down and to learn this book. So maybe about a couple weeks later, I ended up sitting down with the book. As a matter of fact, I even went to the library. This is how determined I was to try to understand this information in this book. And the same thing happened. I still couldn't understand it. So I was like, wow, how do I understand this book? And I would always turn it over, and I'd look at his picture. I was like, oh, who's this handsome guy? He's got a little suit on. And I used to always think Professor Walter Williams was from Egypt. I don't know. I just look at him like, wow, he looks like he's from Egypt, But anyway, long story short, I said to myself, you know what, maybe if I go to the computer, because by this time, by the year 2010, we had YouTube. Now, if you go back and remember, YouTube came along around about 2005. So I had purchased this book in the 90s, the mid-90s. So this is what makes this story so interesting. So anyway, I was in the library. I go over to the computer, and I typed in Professor Walter Williams, and boom, there was a bunch of videos. So when I started looking at Professor Walter Williams' videos, I immediately didn't like what I was hearing. I started getting a little upset. And I got so upset, I was like, man, this is some junk. Let me turn this off. This ain't, man, this dude don't know what he's talking about. This is crazy. Boom, I just shut the computer down. Now, when I tell this story, this is what makes it so interesting. Now, this is a true story, Brother Tarhaka. This really happened to me, okay?
I'm listening.
The next 3 days that I walked around, my subconscious, it wasn't no voices now. I don't want you to think I'm have some type of mental problem or anything like that. I don't like to say voices. I would just say a thought. That's how I like to phrase this. Or maybe it was my subconscious, I don't know, but it was a thought that kept eating at me for 3 days. And the thought, I can remember in my mind, it was saying, you need to check out Professor Walter Williams. You need to check him out. And I think maybe like the second day I started realizing the thoughts that were, coming to me. I was like, why do I keep thinking about Professor Walter Williams? I shut that dude down. I turned him off. He's history. He's, I don't even want to hear his name no more. And I remember the next thought was, hey, but you don't know if what he was saying was true because you didn't even look at his videos. So it kept happening repetitively for the next 3 days. So finally on the third day, I got so fed up. I said, you know what? For the sake of me thinking about this guy, Professor Walter Williams, I'm going to go and watch his video, and I'm going to defeat this guy. I'm going to defeat him. Now, this is what I had in mind. So I said, okay, in order to defeat him, all I got to do is just catch him in one lie. If I catch him in one lie, shut everything down, it's history. He's over with. So I went to the computer. I went up to the library. I went to the computer, sat down, and I started watching the one video. Professor, you know the one when you were up in New York in the schoolroom, classroom environment?
Oh, yes. I was lecturing Professor Leonard Jeffries' class, I believe.
Right.
That's the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir. It was that one.
Oh,
I
was at the Brooklyn University. I gave a lecture there. Maybe that's the one.
Yes, sir, that was it. So I started off with that one, and I said to myself, after about 10, 15 minutes into the video, he started using this terminology that he was the same thing that he wrote about in the book. So it was at that moment that I realized, if I want to defeat Professor Walter Williams, I've got to understand what he's talking about. Now, once I understand what he's talking about, then I can catch him in a lie, and then I got him. He's over with. So I kept watching the video, and then I realized, you know what? In order to understand what this man is talking about, you're going to have to research everything that he's saying. So what I did, Brother Tarhaka, I got a piece of paper and an ink pen, and I wrote down everything that Professor Walter Williams said that I didn't understand. You know, terminology such as the Council of Nicaea I, Ephesus, so forth and so on. Started beginning with the ancient Egyptians, the Council of Chalcedon, Constantine, you name it. I went through the whole works. Now, by the time I got through writing everything on that piece of paper, I had over 100 different subjects. It was over 100 different things. So when I shut that computer off that day, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be kind of hard, because how am I going to find the time, and I got to sit there and learn all this? But I was determined, because I said to myself, I'm going to defeat Walter Williams. I'm going to catch him in one lie. So anyway, I was so determined, Brother Tarhaka. I spent the next 11 months going to the library, researching everything that I had wrote on that paper. And after 11 months, I went back. As a matter of fact, along the way, I went back and watched a couple other videos as well. But the videos, they helped, because that's what opened me up. Anyway, after 11 months, I was in the library, and this was in the summer. This was around about the summer of 2010. And it maybe about 80, 85 degrees outside. And the library was slightly air-conditioned. It was comfortable, maybe 65 degrees, something like that. That 11th month, when I got through researching those 100 terms, I shut the computer off, and I said to myself, oh, my God, they are BSing the whole world. And I stood up in the library, and all of a sudden a heat, it was some sort of heat, a massive heat, came over me. And it came over me so fast at that moment, I started burning up. I mean, it was as if it's like my blood pressure just shot up. So I was thinking maybe it was because I got angry. But all of a sudden I started feeling faint. I was feeling like I was getting ready to pass out. I broke out into a cold sweat. My stomach started becoming nauseated. I felt like I had to vomit. That's how bad this was. And it happened so fast, and I realized, oh, my God, I need some water. I barely made it from the library to that water fountain. I barely made it. Everything became really, really bright. I was getting ready to pass out, literally. So I made it to the water fountain, took a couple sips, my blood pressure went back down, and next thing you know, everything started being clear. And I was like, oh, my God, what just happened to me? What is this, So anyway, I went back to the computer, and I was like, wow, Walter Williams is awesome. And it was at that moment I realized, wow, I cannot defeat this guy. He's undefeatable. I cannot defeat him. He's not telling a lie. He is telling the truth. So I started realizing, wow, I would love to meet this man. I was like, nah, I probably couldn't meet him. He's got this book out, and, he knows all this powerful knowledge, information. I probably couldn't meet him. So somewhere along the line, I noticed he gave out his email address. And I was like, well, let me try to email him just to see. I don't. Maybe he might, write me back. So I wrote him an email and told him how inspired, how he inspired me and how he was my hero and how he set me free, because I had been in so much mental bondage all of my life with my mother forcing me to go to church and forcing all of that ridiculous information upon me that kept me in fear, that had me afraid, and most of all had me confused, for so many years. So I wrote Walter. I was like, man, you are my hero. I am in love with you. Thank you so much. And wow, he wrote me back, and I couldn't believe it. It's like, hey, if you ever, I said, yeah, I'm going to be taking a trip to Chicago, man. Is there any way I can meet you? And this man was so full of love, Brother Tarhaka. Walter Williams was so full of love. I went up to Chicago. I took a bus up there, long story short. And when I met him, I tell this story to everyone that I meet, that I always I always tell everybody to read the historical origins of Christianity and the historical origins of Islam. But when I went up to Chicago, I'm gonna show you how much love Professor Walter Williams showed me, how real this man is. This man is the real deal. He is not a joke. Mm-hmm. I could not defeat him. No one can defeat him because he comes with the facts. Anyway, I took the Greyhound up there, and him and his wife, they picked me up. Didn't know me from anyone. Picked me up and took me to a Chicago soul food restaurant and bought me something to eat. This is how far out this man, how great and beautiful and wonderful this man is. He is the real deal. We sat there and we talked for maybe like 4 or 5 hours. I mean, him and his wife, Sister Arnetta, they are just so full of love. They are the real thing, man. And they gave me a ride back to the bus stop, and I told him, thank you. Hey, he's like, hey, you need any change? Because I think he could tell I was kind of struggling, but I wanted to meet him so bad, He said, hey, man, here, I got you on some bus fare. Gave me $20, help put some money in my pocket. Walter Williams is the real deal. I just want everybody to know that. And I wanted to share that story with everyone because ever since then, he and I have been great friends to this day. And I refer to him as Professor, but in reality, he's more like he's like a dad to me, like a father figure to me, because I lost my real dad in 2009. But I kind of adopted Brother Walter as my dad, and he's a beautiful person, but he is the truth. I want everyone to know that.
Thank you so much, Brother Jay. That makes me feel very, very, very humble. And what you said about our relationship is true. And what you said about me being not a phony, but a person who loves my African community. I've been telling the African community that I love them for going on 44 years now, and that's true. So thank you so much for that tribute, and my wife and I, we just love you. So thanks again for calling in. I certainly appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing, Professor. Brother Tarhaka, before I ask you the question that I wanted to ask you, I just wanted everyone to know Professor Walter Williams, I refer to him as, this is my little thinking right here. This is something I came up with, my little creativity. I refer to him as the Force. He's the Force. And I always tell him, I'm his number one pupil, so I consider myself the Jedi Master, when it comes to this knowledge. But he's the Force. He's where I got it from. And, to this day, man, I a lot of people, I meet a lot of people and we come up with discussions on religion and, anything dealing with history and stuff like that. And no one can defeat me with the knowledge that I've gained from Professor. I mean, it's real. It's the real thing. And the man is just, I'm in love with Professor Walter Williams. He is incredible, and we are so blessed, the African-American community here in the United States, as well as all over the world. We are so blessed to have this man putting out this knowledge, And I was so compelled to call in and just, share my story with everyone. Brother Tarhaka, I wanted to ask you a question, if it was all right.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
So Professor Walter, I'm a big fan of his and his work and everything, and I too am looking forward to the new book whenever it's released. But now, when it comes to the ancient Egyptians, that's my thing. You know, that's what I'm into, and of course, I got my knowledge and my information from Professor Walter Williams and his wife, Sister Arnetta. But I noticed a lot of times, and I whenever I have a question, I always call Professor Walter up and I ask him the question. He always gives me the answer. But I've noticed on your show, Brother Tarhaka, that you say that you are a Moor. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I got one buddy that's a Moor, and I noticed he had a lot of knowledge. He definitely had a lot of knowledge because he was telling me about a lot of things, like for instance the weather control thing that they can use to make things happen, you know, with various weather effects and stuff like that. And he gave me a lot of history on the Moors over in Morocco. So I did my own little independent research on that. But one of the things that I ran across another guy when we did battle, you know, because it's always an intellectual battle when you meet people, and you know when you share this ancient Egyptian knowledge with people, and you refer them to the historical origins of Christianity to get, because they always say, well, where did you learn this from? And I say, well, there's this man up in Chicago. He's my teacher, and he's got a couple books. If you want to go check his books out, to know what I know. But, you know, when you do intellectual battle with a lot of people, when you say the ancient Egyptians, not too many, very, very seldom can anyone touch that. Just that mere name, ancient Egyptians. As a matter of fact, I first heard the name ancient Egyptian when I was living in Atlanta, and I was dating a female. She went to the all-black college called Spelman. And she was the first one that had told me we're from the ancient Egyptians. So that was the first time I heard that terminology. And then shortly after that, that's when I was in that bookstore in Atlanta and I saw that book, and Historical Origins of Christianity, and that's when I purchased that. But anyway, whenever you do battle with people, whenever I do battle with people on an intellectual level, when you say ancient Egyptians, not too many people can touch that or even elaborate on that. But when the word Moor comes up, or when the word Mason comes up, I've noticed that there are different viewpoints out here on that. Now, before I get to my question, Brother Tarhaka, real quick, I'm gonna wrap it up. Before I get to the Moor, like when I deal with people that speak on the Masons, well, first of all, from my own research, I've learned that the Freemasons are actually the group of individuals that pretty much, in my way of saying it, they pretty much kind of run the planet as far as the banks and the monetary system, the money, and, you know, how everything is controlled and structured. But that's what I learned about the Freemasons. Now, when you start talking about the Masons dealing with African Americans, then I meet a lot of people that tell me they're a Prince Hall Mason. So I do a lot of battle with them too. So with the Prince Hall Masons, there was another guy told me, he said, well, hey, man, Prince Hall Masons, they ain't nothing but the house Negroes to the Europeans. So I had another uncle that was a Prince Hall Mason, so I went to him and told him, hey, man, this is what they're saying. Is there any truth in that? And, you know, he ended up telling me all the, you know, little secrets of the Masons and stuff like that. And what was so weird is that shortly after that, he unexpectedly passed. So I was like, wow, you know, it just kind of tripped everybody out. But anyway, I never forget that guy told me. He said that the Prince Hall Masons are nothing but house Negroes to the Europeans. Now, I ran across that same guy. He said, after we were talking about the Masons, now remember, he couldn't touch ancient Egyptians. But when it came to the terminology of Masons, he said that about them. Now, when the Moors came up, this is what he said about the Moors. And I figured, well, you know, I know one guy that's a Moor, but I can't. His number got changed. So I was like, well, maybe I could ask Brother Tarhaka, because he's a Moor. Okay, so the question is, Brother Tarhaka, this gentleman told me, he said, "Hey man, the Moors are the guys that you see. Like when I grew up, we would always watch those Tarzan movies and back in the day with Johnny Weissmuller and all of that. And we watched the Charlie Chan movies, the old Laurel and Hardy movies. And within those movies, they were pretty much black and white. You would this guy told me, he said you would always see the Europeans with their big safari hats on and with the big long guns going through the jungle, looking for the savages, who were the people in Africa of that land. And you would always see a guy standing next to them with a suit on and a fez, the red hat with the little thing coming down. So as a kid, I never understood who that was. But it would always be a black person, and they'd have a clean suit on, and they had this red hat on, or big square hat on, and with a little tassel, coming down on the side. So this guy told me, he said, "Hey man, the Moors." Now when I said the Moors and the ancient Egyptians are one and the same, he immediately said, "Well, where did you get that information from?" I said, "Well, this is what my teacher, Professor Walter Williams, has spoken. So, if you want to find out more, you can just check his books out." He tells me, he says, "Man, the Moors, man, they ain't nothing but house Negroes to the Europeans. I can't stand them Moors. They ain't nothing but the white man's guide." And he used that analogy. He said, if you look in all those movies, the Tarzan movies with Johnny Weissmuller and all that, so you always saw the Moors standing there next to the white man. And he was always giving them directions, telling them where to go and where you could find the savages in the jungle and where they hideout was. So, Brother Tarhaka, long story short, I just wanted to know, do you think that there is any truth in what this guy that I was doing intellectual battle with, what he told me about the Moors? He said that the Moors are nothing but house Negroes to the Europeans. So I'm pretty much through with what I had to say. But I thought I just would like to ask you that to hear what you would have to say to that, so maybe I could get your information and I could go back and share it with that brother.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've listened to everything that you have to say. And Dr. Walter Williams has pretty much gave you the answer to that when he was telling you about the Egyptians when the Ptolemies came into ancient Egypt. You got a lot of people, when they threaten with death and stuff, they'll do a whole lot of different things. And when it came to the Coptic Egypt, there were brothers that refused to acquiesce, and they were fighting to death. And you also have brothers say, "Well, look, I got a wife and children and stuff. I can't risk that. I'm gonna go along to get along." But when you say more, he's giving you an answer to that already too. The word "more" is a nickname for the same people. If you check your ancient story, and what we really have to get away from is we really have to get away from using the television and media give us anything in regards to any history or our ancient story. What we have to do is we have to research and get the facts. And this is my approach to that. The word "more," just like you said, is a nickname. And if you check your ancient story and you do the research yourself, then you will discover that the ancient African Egyptians and the Moors have the exact same science. The Moors had control over the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. And in order for Europeans to get up in here, they had to go through the Moors. So when you say Egypt, and he already gave you the answer to this too, the Egyptians went around the world, bringing the light of civilization to the world. And what has happened is people not having knowledge concerning the ancient African Egyptians or the Moors have assumed that you have these Moors here in this country here were evil people, and these Moors over here were good people, and these Egyptians over here in this land here was good people or evil people. But we have to understand that on the continent of Africa, the light of civilization went through there too. And when you go into the libraries of Timbuktu, they got libraries with scrolls all from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. And brothers in Timbuktu told Dr. Henry Gates that if you didn't come here to get an education, I don't care how rich you was or where you came from, you couldn't get an education. Now, if you check Dr. John G. Jackson in his book, Historical Origins of, the destruction of African civilization, he tells the story of when Europeans came down into the interior of Africa, how the Africans would strike out, and they have camels and horses and stuff, and they had a small amount of provisions for themselves, but they also had big saddlebags full of scrolls and knowledge. And the Europeans would kidnap them, take them to catch them, kidnap them, and take them to Europe and want them to teach them there. But the Moors, those people were saying that, look, we cannot teach you this because in the first place, we try to teach you this, it's going to go over your head. Because we come through here once before and tried to civilize you, and we couldn't civilize you. Because the Moors had ruled Europe, and we're talking about one of the same people now. They ruled Europe. They drove them out of Spain. They've been in there for 780 years, and the last stronghold they had was down in Cordova, Cartagena. And when they drove them out of there, Ferdinand and Isabella outlawed bathing. Now, that's after the Moors had built over 200 public baths, so a man can go behind a wall, or a woman, in a booth and take a bath because they believe in cleanliness. This is identical to the same behavioral patterns of the ancient African Egyptians. Now, shortly after that, what does history tell us? Our story tell us on the Black Death of Europe. So, to answer your question, brother, I would not concern myself people who don't have all the facts. You follow me? When it comes to dealing with this type of knowledge, I use a simple equation because I started off the broadcast talking about supreme mathematics. Do the math. In my case, I do addition. When I started out, I was picked up by the Moorish American government under the tutelage of the Grand Chairman, Elihu Pleasant Bay. And he told me all of the information concerning the Masons. But we were not through adding. And then the next thing I know, I ran into Dr. Walter Williams. So I got one piece of a puzzle. I get another piece of the puzzle. But I'm collecting these pieces of puzzle. I'm doing the math. And at the same time, I'm doing the research for myself. That is the best possible answer that I can give you. And I hope that sheds some light on what you're saying. Yes, sir.
Brother Tarhaka?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
Can you hear me? Brother Tarhaka?
Yes, sir, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
One of the best things you could do for Brother Jay, we did a whole program on the Moors. That was that last month or the month before?
Oh, man, we done a whole lot of them.
But the one we did was very poignant because we were saying that the Moors should make it clear that the Moors and the ancient Egyptians are one and the same. Mm-hmm. And that it's very clear that the name Moor is a nickname given to the African descendants of the ancient Egyptians. When the Spanish white Europeans asked these descendants of the ancient Egyptians to come into Spain in 1051 to bring civilization to them, and that these Africans that were asked to come into Spain are descendants of the ancient Egyptians, but they departed going into Spain by Morocco, the country that's on one of the countries of North Africa bordering the Mediterranean. And that was the best place to depart or embark on going into Spain, because the Strait of Gibraltar is in Morocco. In other words, you have more land area in that particular country, Morocco, that reaches the closest point to Spain. In other words, using that Strait of Gibraltar coming out of Morocco, at the end of that strait, you have 8.9 miles of water that you need to have a boat to cross to go into Spain. So the other countries, like Egypt, is in North Africa, bordering the Mediterranean. Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Mauritania. But Morocco, like I said, was the closest country of those 6 countries that borders the Mediterranean that will get you closer to Spain because of the Strait of Gibraltar is in Morocco. And once they embarked and went into Spain, the white Spanish people called them black Moors or black Moors. Why? Because they came from the country, departed from the country called Morocco. And like I said, like you said, that the name Moors is only a nickname given to the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Now, like I said before, do you remember we just did that show about a couple of months ago? Because that was our message.
I had to go back and look, but if he send me a email requesting the show that we did on the Moors, I can go and get the link and put it in the email and send it to him. That'll be the fastest way that I could get it to him, and that's 3 hours worth of getting to the bottom of his question.
So Brother Jay, right, Brother Jay, what you do? Email Brother Tarhaka, or give him your email address, and he'll send you that link to that show. Then you can study it and listen to it, and then you can go from there. Okay, my brother?
Okay. All right. Sure thing, Professor.
Okay. So thank you so much for calling in, my brother, and may I hotep to you.
Okay. May I hotep? Thank you, Brother Tarhaka. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate you calling. All right. Dr. William, we got another call at area code 708. I'm going to open up the phone line. 708, you are on the air. Tell us who you are.
May I hotep, Dr. Williams, Brother Tarhaka. This is Keith from Chicago.
Hey, Keith. Hey, Brother Keith, my man. May I hotep to you and Sister Joy, your wife.
Likewise. Same to you and your lovely wife, Sister Annetta. And to Brother Tarhaka, I really man, I applaud you, Tarhaka, for allowing Dr. Williams to get this information out there, and the Africans in America need this so bad. And Dr. Williams, as always, we talk occasionally, but I cannot say enough how much you have changed the life of me and my family and liberated us with this information that you've provided. It is it's just some awesome information, like everyone has spoken so eloquently about. I really am pleased to hear people actually calling in and expressing, telling their stories. Everyone has a story. And I won't bore you with mine, but again, I just want to tell you how much we love you and appreciate you for all that you do for our community. And I know it's been a battle. I know it has been a battle because I came out of the Hebrewism, for many years, and it's like this psychology that they put on us it's like a spell. You hear stuff that just don't make no kind of sense, and you believe it. You just roll with it. And I'm so happy that I came across your information, and I'm still kicking myself sometime, but I'm just happy that I'm out. It's like the Matrix, and we took the red pill.
Wow.
So, yeah. You know, I'll tell you real briefly. I know that time is getting short, but just for anyone listening, this is just my experience coming out of Christianity. I thought that, you know, your parents give it to you, obviously, but when you start dealing with the European aspect of it, that's what trapped me going to Hebrew, because they just give you a black Jesus. And so one brother pointed out to me that, you know, people that read the Bible have come across where they tell you to go in Israel, to go in, kill everything and possess the land. And if that don't sound like this European, I don't know what does. And so it's just different things that just jump out at you, but you kind of ignore them because you're under that spell. You're under that spell, and thank you, Dr. Walter Williams. I love you.
You're welcome.
May I Hotel.
May I Hotel, my brother.
Yeah,
and don't forget to give Joy a kiss for me.
I surely will. You do the same with your lovely wife, Arnetta.
Okay, thank you so much. May I Hotel, my brother. You make me feel very humble. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
brother.
you.
Appreciate
May I Hotel for you
it.
too, brother Tarhaka. Take care.
May I Hotel. Okay, Dr. Williams, we're going down, and we've been at it for a minute. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, then we can take up and finish our dispensation on information.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all hold on a minute. We'll be right back. Okay?
Looking for a new business opportunity? Join Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com. Farmers are quitting tobacco and turning to hemp, and so should you. Join Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com. Hemp is the #1 superfood and healer, giving you protein, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, zinc, and fiber. Boost your metabolism, support weight loss, immune function, depression, and anxiety. Visit Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Tarhaka. Student loans, child support, credit cards, foreclosure debt, and much, much more are some of the problems facing my people. There's a right way and a wrong way to deal with these problems. Proper status in commerce does play a big role. However, we want to get rid of the so-called debt. Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Let's get off the plantation. Let's not bog down in it. Let's get rid of it by getting rid of these debts. You got to get rid of the debt. If you're going to have a clean start, that's where to start. If you open a business, the first thing you want to do is get out of debt first. Once you get out of debt, now you can think about going forward and doing something different. www.newdebtelimination.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, and the title of this broadcast is Who is This Man Called God? And we've already dropped that science early on in the broadcast. Dr. Williams, are you still with us?
Oh, yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. All right. Well, before we begin again, let me let the listening audience know one more time that the phone lines are still open. The number to dial in is 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you got something to say. Dr. Williams is with us tonight. Those of you who would like to speak to Dr. Walter Williams, if you just dial in that number, 310-982-4184, and press 1, you get a chance to talk to him right now, tonight. Okay. Dr. Williams.
Yes,
now,
sir.
I'm going to give the Brother Jay the broadcast, and I think the title of that broadcast was Who Were the Moors? I think that's no. Oh, I know what it is. Are the Moors and the ancient African Egyptians one and the same people? That was the title of that broadcast. So, yeah,
right.
So I know exactly which one to give him. Do you have any more information that you would like to, any more light that you would like to shed on our subject for tonight? Who is this man called God? From any other angle?
Well, yeah, like I said before, God is a man-made entity. That's number one. We need to know that. Number two, God is a man-made entity that's created for all religions. All religions that are out here today, practiced by humans, has a God attached to it. But who is the real God of each human being? The real God for each human that's walking this earth, like I mentioned before, you have close to 8 billion humans walking this earth for all races, creeds, and color. And every human walking this earth has their own personal God and goddess. Your own personal God is your father, the man that you call daddy or father, or the female that you call mama or mom or mother. Those two created you. So every human has their own personal God that gave them life. They have to really understand that and not get confused about a man-made God that no human on earth has ever seen, an imaginary God floating around in their heads, put there by these various religions, you see. So that causes confusion in the minds of humanity, in the minds of men and women. So you walk around thinking that God is going to do this for you. All you have to do is pray to God. He's going to do this and to do that for you. It's not true. You can go to any church today and you look at your congregation. Some members in that congregation are doing quite well for themselves, prosperity-wise. Then some in that church, that same church now, holding on. Then you got some in that church are not doing so well. But they all go to that same church. They all pray to that same God. And they're all trying to get the same results from the God that they're praying to. So what I'm saying to you again is this. Every human on earth that's born on earth as a human being, once they come out of their mother's womb, you are on your own. Okay, you can pray all you want to. It's not going to help you. Whatever is in your fate, F-A-T-E, which equates to luck. You want to use it for a common word. Whatever fate and luck that may be in your life or that you may experience in your life, that's all you're going to get. Now, I'm not talking about individual, so don't bring up, well, God did this for me, and God did that for me. I prayed, and he gave me this. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about 50 or more million of Africans living in this country. The question I ask, what has God done for us? Nothing. He allowed this white male to put us into slavery, lynch us, Jim Crow us, even draw a color line for us. If you go to if you can find a 1957 Webster's Dictionary, and in that dictionary, they got a definition called a color line. The color line definition is this. It says a barrier of political, social, and economic restrictions imposed upon Negroes and other colored races. Draw the color line and keep the color line. So when you and I, Brother Tarhaka, came forth in this world as babies out of our mother's body, we had 3 strikes against us: a political, social, and economic restrictions that has been imposed upon us by this uncivilized, inhuman, inferior, spiritually dead European that created all this confusion in the world today as we live through this confusion. The European has had control of this planet Earth for 2,350 years. Next year will be 2,351 years from the time of Alexander coming into Egypt in 332 BCE up until this present date and present time in world history. He has messed up this whole entire planet of humanity, you see, because he is out of tune. He is inferior. He is uncivilized. And he's spiritually dead. Our ancestors have been trying to teach this white European how to be civilized for 2,350 years. Now, I'm not saying that all Europeans possess that trait, but I said most of them possess that trait. And I said this. We have to find our way back to ancient Egypt in order to claim our greatness, which is lying unclaimed in the continent of Africa. We have to unify around one nationality. We can no longer be African Americans anymore, blacks or Negroes anymore, because black and Negro is one and the same. We can't afford to be that anymore. We have to find our way back and claim our greatness as a people. We are Africans, 50 or more million of us living in this country that has no national identity that we are claiming. So we're going to have to claim the national identity that will identify us and relate us back to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, the great and grand and glorious Africans who built the Great Pyramid and Sphinx and brought civilization to all of humanity. All of humanity. They were the only literate people on planet Earth during the time of antiquity. Why? Because they created an alphabet to make themselves literate. So if an individual asks you, how do you know that your ancestors had the world's first and oldest civilization? The answer to that is because they created an alphabet. That is what makes an individual literate. Because that alphabet, when you learn that alphabet, you will be able to read, write, and spell. That makes you a literate individual. Like William A. Bennett once said, who used to be the Secretary of Education for America. He says to be ignorant of history is to be intellectually defenseless. In other words, you cannot defend yourself if you don't know your history. You have to know your history. You see, it's like Brother Jay out of St. Louis told a story how he meet other people out in the world that he travels. And different subjects come up. Now, if he didn't have any type of knowledge about himself and about his connection with the ancient Egyptians, then he would be intellectually defenseless. He couldn't say anything because you don't know anything to say. You have no knowledge to defend yourself. So now, what we have what we have been taught away from is ancient Egypt by the school system in the United States of America. That was done on purpose in order to keep white supremacy and white domination in vogue. So once we find our way back to ancient Egypt, white supremacy and white domination is over with, and they know that. So they keep us away from that. So therefore, we have to find our way back and claim that culture. See, that's what's missing. You go over into Africa. We, as a 50 or more million of us in this country, cannot go no place in Africa and claim it. Why? Because every place in Africa is occupied, including Egypt. You see? Now, Egypt, in the continent of Africa, is occupied by white European Arab faces over there. Okay, they control that. You have Nubians over there. Of course, they're the indigenous. But now, the rest of the world looks at Egypt as it is today, as it's been populated today, and they see white Arab faces. But what I'm talking about, that no one sees and no one is claiming, is the culture of those Africans who built the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and brought forth civilization for all of humanity. The body of the Sphinx is 1 city block long, 6 stories high, with an African face carved in stone to let the world know who they are. Not were, but who they are. They still are, because we descendants are here on earth to claim them. So we have to have knowledge to find our way back to claim ancient Egypt and claim that culture that our ancestors brought forth civilization through that culture. That's very important. See? So we as an African people, we cannot go today and sit at the table of nations with other people. But there's a seat that's vacant there that's waiting for us, descendants of the ancient Egyptians, to come and occupy that seat. You see? So therefore, we have to know our ancestors' history and to what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. We have to know that history, and that's what's missing. So we need to know that so we can change the trajectory of this whole entire world of humanity. The world is waiting on us. We have the keys to do that. On your program here, Tarhaka, I gave a lecture on the ecumenical councils. That was the key, one of the keys that will unlock our minds to find our way back to ancient Egypt. 3 years ago, September the 19th, 2015, I did another show on the historical origin of Christianity, how Christianity was created. I gave you blow by blow. That's another key. So this program that you have created and allowed me, Walter Williams, to come on every last Sunday of the month is bringing forth information that is needed in our African community. We are the only people on earth that have the key that can free the whole entire world of humanity, all other races. We can free them of this lie that's been put upon the whole world by this European. So thank you again, Brother Tarhaka. I appreciate you and your works that you have done and that you're still doing. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your work and your programs. Thank you.
Well, I thank you, my brother, for coming on and dropping the information that you do every month. We certainly appreciate it, and I know that people are getting something out of it. I think I would like to add that if we simply realize that what our enemies have done is to simply keep you from being the navigator of your own vessel. And he does that by giving you false information, giving you distorted information, and giving you his story. And what we have to do is we have to master our own, become the navigators of our own vessel, which is our own bodies, our own minds, our own families, our own wives, our own children. And we do that simply by doing an investigation, seeking out and ferreting out the truth. Because when you have the truth, that automatically makes you dangerous in a society who's built on lies. So when we learn everything that we can possibly learn about our own selves, we learn everything that we can really learn about our own bodies, its functions, the gray matter in our skulls, the pineal gland, the blood in our bodies, our heart nervous system functions, all of this stuff, and what goes in the body. And all of this information we need to know, so that way we can successfully navigate, be navigators of our own vessel. Now, there are 9 points that he used to rule as economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. These are the points he ruled with. And what you and I do, we attack every month. We do that. And it revolves around a man believing in something he doesn't know anything about, doesn't have any facts. He just believes. And we got people all over the world doing this kind of stuff. You know something is wrong anytime a man drives up in front of a group of people in a truck and as a suicide bomber and just screams out Allah Akbar and the whole truck blew up with him in it. And he did it to he did it and kill other people because of something that he believes in. And, somebody that he ain't never seen in his life, he never met. So that is dangerous. That's dangerous when you got a person that's willing to strap a bomb to himself and blow his own self up just to try to kill you because of what he believes. Never met Allah a day in his life. Allah never been to his house, knocked on the door, sit down to the dinner table, never done any of that. Jesus either. The religion of Christianity is responsible for more murders and deaths since its inception, World War I, World War II, and the Korean War put together. That's dangerous. But when you're a navigator of your own vessel, then you can think. So you don't have to believe. You can think. You can look at the facts. And when you get the facts, then you put the facts on the table. This is what happened on this particular day with these particular people at this particular time. These are the people, this is the place, this is the time, and this is the event. And he wrote the literature. If there was any of that attached to it. So I wanted to add that because I think one of the hardest problems that our people are having is they don't know how to make the transformation away from this belief system. And it can easily be replaced. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some research. But it's well worth the investment because you're talking about real freedom when you can think. And you can navigate your own vessel. You learn what time it is. You learn how to read. You count them numbers. You do the research. I looked at the movies. They had Tarzan, and they did a thing where they had the Alamo, the gunfight at Alamo, and but there was information about that we didn't know. That was us down there. They came out with a thing called the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Well, that's based on the life story of a man named Bass Reed, a brother. And then Yellow Rose of Texas. Well, that song was about a sister. They don't tell us anything about Matthew Hansen and how he was the first man that stood on top of the earth. But they gave credit to a European that fainted on the way up there. And Matthew Hansen had to turn around and pick him up and put him in his arms to keep on going because he was right at the pinnacle so he can make it. With him in his arms. Threw him across his shoulder. But then we got all of these stories and all these lies. So when you do the investigation, then you start, you want to know who was George Washington Bush, James Beckworth, Black Kiowa, Isam Dart, Clara Brown, Matthew Hansen, Bill Pickett, and the Black Seminole Indians, and Buffalo Soldiers, and the 9th Cavalry Troops, George Bunger, Sybil Harbor, Benjamin Singleton, and Nat Love. Let's get some of this here on our belt. Let's do the research on us, our ancient story. What about our ancient story on the North American continent, in South America? And we learn a lot of things about Africa, and there's a lot of things said about the people in America that's classified as Negro, colors, and blacks. That's just simply not true. And at one time, scientists can tell you, well, actually, you could do it yourself. You get the maps and cut out the different continents and countries and stuff, and put them together. They all fit together like a puzzle. So, in my opinion, we didn't need to come over here on a slave ship. All we had to do was walk across the street. So, in my opinion, we was always here. That was I had my mom about it. She said, you didn't tell us about back when we were slaves. She said, we were never no slaves. We was always on over here. We always had our own land, our own cattle, our own horses, our own trees, our own chickens and cows, our own fruit trees, pecan trees, peach trees, on our own line that stretched for miles and miles and miles. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know where you get that from. She said, we heard about some stuff about slavery, but it ain't had nothing to do with us. So there's all kind of myths, but we won't know unless we do the research. We have to.
Absolutely.
We had to get Dr. Williams' books, read the books, and then go to the next step and verify the information that's in the book. That's how you do that. And then in his book, Dr. John G. Jackson, in his book, Introduction to African Civilization, he said that it was the Christian church who fought against the abolitionists tooth and nail to keep our people enslaved. And the only people came to our rescue were the Quakers. He wrote that in his book. He told a story of how the king of Timbuktu, he went on a pilgrimage to go around the world just to give everybody his gold because he had the biggest gold reserves in the region. And he gave out gold in it, but he got so far he ran out of gold, so he had to go to the Pharaoh. He said, you give me the gold so I can make the rest of my trip and finish what I'm trying to do. And he said, you send your men with me, and I will give you your gold back, and I'll give you extra gold. And Pharaoh said, you got a deal. He got a story right there in his book. He told a story about Chancellor Williams told a story about Queen Nzinga, how she fought against him for 40 years. Refused to get married because she was told the man, I love you, but I can't marry you right now because I'm fighting. So when I get through fighting, then maybe we talk about it. But it is, in my opinion, Dr. Williams, our story is the greatest story ever told. That is the greatest story that was ever told. The most fascinating story. You can learn about the ancient African Egyptians. You can learn about Angola. You can learn about Ethiopia. You can learn about Timbuktu, Nigeria, and the list goes on and on and on. You can learn about that. You can learn about the Tarhaka and the Moors down in Mexico. And you can learn about the what the real name of the states inside the United States are, and the underwater cities that stretch out off the continent of Florida. You can learn these things, but we have to do the research and we have to do the investigation. We got
That's
to do
correct.
it because that gives you power. So when you walk in, you lay the facts on the table. Every individual European that I've ever came here to my home, when we got involved in conversations, they were always fascinated. They always tell me, say, man, I ain't never heard nothing like this in my life. He said, hey, I went to college. They didn't teach me nothing like this. He said, where you get this information from? And I point out my library right there. He said, oh, okay. Yeah, self-educated. Because in order for you to get an education, a correct education in a college and university inside the United States, the first thing they got to teach you is who you are. They got to teach you who you are and what your ancient story is. And they're not qualified to do that. You can only get that from somebody that look like you.
That's correct.
That's where you get it from.
That's correct, Brother Tarhaka.
But anyway, that is what I wanted to put out there, because it just simply involves thinking, and you feel so good, and you feel so safe because you know when you put the facts on the table, there's no debate.
That's correct.
Just like Brother Jay was telling us that he was running into different brothers and stuff, and he had to battle with. I don't do no battling. Ain't gonna be no battle. Probably ain't gonna be but one punch throw, and somebody gonna hit the ground. Cause I'm gonna be pulling that number facts and truth and lay it on the line. There ain't no debate. There's no argument. There ain't no room for it. Because if I'm telling it to you, then I'll be able to go get it so you read it for yourself. Invest in yourself, your education. And I keep telling my brothers and sisters over and over and over and over. Every man and woman that look like me in the United States need to have their own library for their own education and to leave that legacy to their children. All of us need to have that. Instead of going out and putting rims on the car and getting these hairdos and these designer fingernails and toenails and all of that done, why don't we buy some books? You create a video library. If you don't like to read, you create a video library. The information is still available. There's tons of correct information right there on YouTube, a lot of it. But it still has to be verified. You want to verify the information. I remember one time it was Ronald Reagan and the Russians. They were talking about, well, we gonna y'all dismantle y'all nuclear weapons, and we'll dismantle our nuclear weapons. And the American people say, well, yeah. How do we know they're gonna put down their weapons if we put down ours? But Ronald Reagan said, well, I'm going over there and verify. I'm gonna verify. And so this is what we have to do. Study to show yourself approved. To you. You got to qualify. Dr. Williams, you know what? In my opinion, this is just my opinion again. I believe that a man has to be qualified. And the individual that he has to qualify with first and foremost is his own self.
That's right.
Until he's sure and competent enough to have no challenges. None whatsoever.
You know how that's done?
Because when they see you coming, hey, whatever fight they thought they had in their mind, that's over with. You bring in the
That's
fight.
correct.
And so that's what I want to. That's what I want to add.
Okay. Here's let me piggyback on that, Brother Tarhaka. Is this: to know the truth will not make you free. To know the truth now will not make you free. But to accept the truth, if you accept it now, it will make you free. Just knowing the truth, that won't make you free. But you have to accept it as an individual human being. To accept what's been told to you, what's been put in books where you read it for yourself, and what the facts are. If you know the facts, you read the facts based off of truth, won't do you any good by freeing you. But if you accept this, what you're reading and what's being told to you as truth, then you're free. You see? Now, a lot of people ask, what happened to the Moors? I'm sure that you have been asked that question since you deal in that type of discipline. Okay, what happened to the Moors? The Moors, as you know, came over here with Christopher Columbus in 1492. They set up a civilization over in this hemisphere of Americas, North and South America. They're the ones that brought civilization to this part of the world. The Africans that were being taken out of Africa were learned men and women. Okay, they were brought over here for the sole purpose of building and adding to civilization over here in this hemisphere. In 1792, they built the White House, as you see it, with that dome on there. That dome is the creation of only one racial group of people on earth. Those are the Africans, who are known in history as the ancient Egyptians. The first dome that they built that the world know of is on that Hagia Sophia, the world's first Christian church, that's still standing as I speak over in Northeast Africa, in Constantinople. Constantinople today is called Istanbul, Turkey. Over there, you'll find the world's first Christian church, the Hagia Sophia, the Church of Mary and Christ. The Ottoman Turks under Muhammad II in 1453 blew a hole in the double-walled city of Constantinople and entered Constantinople and seized Constantinople and seized the world's first Christian church, the Hagia Sophia. They made a mosque out of it. So if you read my book, get my book, The Historical Origin of Islam, on the front cover, you see a picture of the Hagia Sophia with those 3 minarets there. That was put there by the Ottoman Turks. Okay? After they came through and captured Constantinople. Now, the Moors was dispelled out of Spain in 1478. The Moors were in the Vatican. They're the ones that built the Vatican. They're the ones that built St. Peter's Church, known today as St. Peter's Basilica. If you look at that church dome, there's another dome on that church to attest to exactly what I'm saying. You look at that dome, and you look at the dome of the Hagia Sophia, you see the same similar type dome built by the African descendants of the ancient Egyptians, but in a smaller version. There's a smaller version of that dome on St. Peter's Church, St. Peter's Basilica. They built in 1473. They built They built the Sistine Chapel, where the Pope lives today and resides. They're the ones that built the Vatican as you see it over there today. The Vatican, as you see it today over there, is nothing but a replica of the double-walled city of Constantinople that was being built at the request of Justinian and his wife Theodora in 532. They asked African architects and African builders to build that church, the Hagia Sophia, the world's first Christian church. 5 years later, that church was finished, 537. You see. Now, when these same, after dispelling and dismissing the Moors out of the Vatican and out of Spain, some of those African Moors who are descendants of the ancient Egyptians went into the countries along North Africa. They went into Egypt. They went into Libya. They went into Tunisia. They went into Algeria, back into Morocco and Mauritania. They went into Mali, different parts of Africa. And while in Mali, they set up what is known today as the University of Timbuktu. And if you go to look over in Mali for the University of Timbuktu, you won't find it. The University of Timbuktu, it took me many years to find this information that I'm departing now. The University of Timbuktu is in the manuscripts of those those Africans known as the Moors, after they was expelled out of Spain and the Vatican in 1478 by Ferdinand Bella, dispelling them, hiring a man by the name of Thomas D. Tarhaka to do that. He was the Inquisitor General. He was also the Inquisitor General for the Roman Catholic Church. So those two entities dispelled the Moors out of Spain, and then some of them, like I said, went into Mali. Now this is the history that I want you to understand. Getting an echo. So this history containing the Moors and the University of Timbuktu. The University of Timbuktu, after many years of research, are the manuscripts that the Moors used while in Spain to bring civilization to Spain. So those manuscripts of different subjects on mathematics, the alphabet, subjects on medical terms, architecture, building, etc., etc., etc. Whatever they taught is in those manuscripts, and what's in those manuscripts is considered and called the University of Timbuktu. That's the university, their manuscripts that they taught from, and they built homes over there in Mali, and they turned those homes into teaching institutions, along with using their manuscripts that I mentioned to teach from. That's the University of Timbuktu. Over in this hemisphere, in 1792, they built this Capitol building in Washington. Okay, and that's the White House, and that dome, you see it again on the Hagia Sophia, and you see it on the St. Peter's Basilica, and you see that dome all over America and all over the world. That type of architect is being used, and they call it Byzantine art or architecture, which is misleading. It's African, okay, ancient Egyptian art and building. And I see, as I go through in Chicago, and as I go through other cities, I see those traits. Look at different buildings. I can see the doorways, how they got those oval arched doors and oval arched windows. That's coming out of ancient Egypt via the ancient Egyptians, via their descendants, the Moors. You see? So the Moor, the word Moor is a nickname, like I mentioned before, because of the African, who's a descendant of the ancient Egyptian, crossing Morocco to enter into Spain. Now, so they got rid of the Moors. They call themselves, the Spanish and the Roman Catholic Church call themselves eradicating the Moors out of history. So now, how did they eradicate the Moors from America out of history? So, in 1619, the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Roman Catholic Church, don't leave them out, because they're the ones that put us, Africans, our ancestors, into slavery, the Roman Catholic Church. Like you mentioned before about those Quakers that gave us some kind of refuge, you know. But that Roman Catholic Church, they know that there is no Jesus Christ. They know that historically, but that goes into another history. So in order to get rid of the Moors and eradicate them out of the history of America, what they did when they brought other slaves, other human beings out of Africa to be put into slavery over in this country, in this hemisphere, they took the Moors and the ancient Egyptians and put them under one umbrella and said to them, now you all are Negroes. You see, and the word Negro in Spanish means black. Black in Spanish means Negro. Same thing, synonymous. So that's how they call themselves eradicating the Moors. And then Noble Drew Ali came along in 1913 and revised all of that. But see, the Moors as we speak today, and you could attest this, Tarhaka, it's muffled. They don't want this country to know anything about the Moors. That's why they don't talk about it. Only people like yourself and Dr. Pleasant Bay and others and Aline Bay and different people, they talk about the Moors. But if it wasn't for Noble Drew Ali, you probably, the Moors would be eradicated totally. You know. So that's just a little history on the Moors. And Brother Jay, I hope you can, I hope you're listening. I hope that you can get something out of that. But anyway, Brother Tarhaka is going to send you that link, you know, on your email, and so you can download it and you can hear it and so forth and so on. So, Brother Tarhaka?
Well, I'm going to send that to him. I'm also going to send him the different, the links to the different shows that me and the Grand Chairman for the Moorish American did, because it was him who shedded the most light on the Masons. And I got this information. In a lot of cases, there are a lot of things that I have forgotten that a lot of people don't know, haven't even learned yet. But we do have this information, and I continue to study other information. I got a video I want to do, and that video is going to be dedicated to the information that I have on our ancient story in this hemisphere, in the Americas, South America, Mexico, the Olmecs, Brazil, and Argentina, and all of that down there. Jamaica, Cuba. I want to bring out the information I have, and I want to do it in video format. So I'm going to eventually, when I get some of this work done around here, I'm going to eventually do that video, and I put that out here. Recently, I did two on setting up trust and the correct way to do that, and how what information to get so that you can have the best edge on doing that. So now I'm going to move on to this project here. I'm going to have to line up the information, get it out, get it in a nutshell, because I'm not going to have that much time to deliver the information. So that is going to be my next project, to do that video. But in the meantime, I will gather up what he's wanting and send it over there to him so that he can hear with his own ears, and he can do the research himself. Now,
correct.
Dr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Where is it? Inside the United States, and I got the information, but I don't know where I put it. You got, I don't know if is it on the floor of Congress, or is it on the floor of Capitol Hill, or somewhere where you got a gigantic zodiac circle, just like the one in North Africa, in the temples on the floor. Well, where is that at in America again?
Try
is it there?
Washington Monument.
Washington Monument. Okay.
Right.
And then the one in Egypt. The one in Egypt. Now, where's that located? Which temple is it in?
I don't know that. I can't give you that information.
Okay, because I got that. I got the information and I got the photograph, but I forgot where I put them at. And I'm gonna have to dig them out. I got them in here. I'm gonna have to dig them out. But I just thought maybe you knew which one in America that it was on the floor on in the place here. There's a lot of brothers and sisters got it. I got two. But and I studied it a while back, but now I want to use it, and so I'm gonna have to dig it out. But I got it in here. I'll find it.
Well, I don't want nobody to hold me to exactness, but I think what you're asking me is in the Washington Monument. I may be wrong, so I'm leaving the door open to be wrong.
Okay.
So if an individual find that information out, they should call our show and tell us that. But my thinking is that you can find that in the Washington Monument that displays that they put up for George Washington. But once you go in that needle, you'll find all kinds of Jewish symbols are in there also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the founding thieves, known as the founding fathers of this country, they're the ones that were deists. In other words, they were Masons.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and there's a lot of signs in that Washington Monument. I should have stayed in that monument longer than I had the chance to stay there because I was on with a tour guide group going through there. And when you go through a tour guide group, they're gonna just take you from place to place, and then you come out, you know. So, but anyway, I think now, I may be wrong, that's what you're asking me is in that Washington Monument. You see, so because again, the founding thieves of this country were Masons. You see, and that would be my answer to you, not knowing or giving you the answer in a wholehearted way that I know this. I'm guessing this. So I want to listen to audience to know I'm guessing. I'm not giving you an answer, a definite answer. You know, so that's will be my answer.
Okay. Well, I know it's over here, and I know it's in one of them buildings, and it's on the floor, just like it's on the floor in North Africa, and it's in one of those temples. And I got photographs of both of them. And I don't want to say that it's the Temple of Dendra. I don't want to say that because I'm not sure, but I got it. I want to look in the books again and bring it up so I know exactly where it is. But anyway, that's going to be also a part because I have something I want to say about that. But once I get all the facts on the table so it can be verified, then I'll release that information. Dr. Williams, we're down to the last 4 minutes and 37 seconds. You have any more last words you want to say for that amount of time?
Well, I just want to say I thank you again, Brother Tarhaka, for allowing me to be part of your great radio show once a month, last Sunday of every month. I certainly appreciate that. And I want to say to the listening audience, I love you guys out there in the listening audience. And I want you to keep on evolving, keep on learning the truth, seek the truth. The truth shall make you free. And keep evolving because revolving will get you no place because you're still revolving the same old stuff over and over again. So keep evolving. That means keep growing in the truth. And if you want to email me and contact me, you can email me by emailing me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN, @msn.com. Put your phone number on there, and I'll call you back if you want to talk to me further in conversation. And my 2 books, The Historical Origin of Christianity and the Historical Origin of Islam can be purchased via Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, or you can call my great brother in Chicago, Brother Yoel, who has a African bookstore that carries many, many, many books, hard to find books, etc. And he has my book also. And you can reach Brother Yoel at area code 773-768-8869. Brother Yoel, Underground Bookstore. Phone number 773, the area code 768-8869. And he will mail you my books out. The two books, Historical Origin of Christianity, Historical Origin of Islam. And if you have any other books or publication that you need to find, that's the man to go to, Brother UL Underground Bookstore in Chicago. Okay? So that's what I have to say in parting. And again, Brother Tarhaka, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your program. I certainly appreciate it.
You're certainly welcome, my brother. And we will be back again. And as soon as we gather the correct information to deliver, we'll come back again with our explosive headline and explain and break it down and provide the information to you. So y'all stay tuned. Also, I want to add my new website is now visible for those people who are new. It's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. So if y'all go there and just subscribe, and what I mean by that, just go ahead and put your email address in. That'll come to me, and I'll send y'all my free report. Get rushed right to you, okay? www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's my new website there. We're going to be filling it in and adding documents and stuff down in my blogs, so y'all be able to go there and read some very important information that can help y'all out involving debt and these foreclosure and all this stuff. So this stuff is still going on. They even got a guy on the radio, and he's acting like it's normal for it to be that way. And so we are letting the world know, no, it's all crooked. So that's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Subscribe, and I'll send you my free report. Just put your email in and send it straight to you. Okay. Now, Dr. Williams, I'm going now. May I hotep my brother, and I'll be seeing you next time.
Okay. May I hotep my brother?
May I hotep. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for tonight. And I certainly appreciate everybody for being here. I've been your host, Tarhaka Monte L. Bay. And until next time, good night.